drawers are part of a secretary that we are still having to do some repairs on. So I thought I'm just gonna start on the drawers. We did have, there's two smaller drawers that were an odd shaped handle. So we are plugging those and drilling a new one. So they're gonna be knobs. So it's 5 drawers in total. And then the top flips down in this little secretary desk. So I'm gonna go a little out of my comfort zone on this one because it's so cute. So this one is the one that I posted a picture, I think last week. It's got the Metamorphosis butterfly. That's gonna go somewhere on the top. But these drawers are gonna have one of each of these papers. So this is the Rustic Blue Pattern Pack from HP Distribution. I did put their link up at the top that you can get them. I'm gonna do one of each on these drawers. So I have painted this in Hydrangea Kiss, which is just a little bit of a blue color. It's like a whitish blue. And then I did 2 coats of, actually I did the gunk. This is the first time I'm trying the iron-on method with the Rethunk Gunk. So it's a little thicker than Mod Podge. I put 2 coats on and I let it dry in between each coat. So now we're gonna iron this on. So I'm using my craft iron. I have my parchment paper. And you can use a regular iron with no water, no steam. And since it's National Wine Day, I've got my wine. So it's a good Thursday. So these are all the same size. So right now, I don't care which order I put them in. I'm just gonna pull them out of the tube and we're gonna put them on. When I put them in the drawer, in the actual secretary, that's when I'll decide which way I want the patterns to go. Let me come closer so you can see. So this is one of the papers. This is actually, you can get just this paper. It's called Butterfly Dance. So that's gonna be one of them. And this is also gonna allow me, there's gonna be scraps left over. This is just a really pretty, like weathered wood with a blue tint to it. And then this other one is butterflies. So that's all gonna tie into the metamorphosis that we're gonna do on the top. So right now we just need to get the paper on. I will spread this out just a little bit. Good golly. Okay, I did not make any cuts from these. So there is a nice, edge piece. So it doesn't bleed through the paper. But if I just line it up right, and I'm gonna try and use the least amount of paper as possible. So I just wanna make sure I'm straight. And that looks, because I did not cut anything off, I'm using the little line as my guide. I just want to make sure. I need to slide it down a tad. And I'm just going to check all the way across. Okay, so now with my parchment paper, I just want the iron to heat up what's there, just to kind of also hold it into place. Hey, Miss Jill, this is my first time using this paper. I was looking for something I could use with the transfers, and the Metamorphosis is really the only one I have right now. So that's what kind of made me decide to do it. So right now I'm just getting the paper on. I don't even care if it's completely covered. I just don't want it to move around. Set this down for a second. I don't want to crease my paper either. There. Now is the time I will go all the way around again, just to make sure my edges are secure. Now this is one of the easier ones. I don't know if you can tell, but this center section kind of pops up. To me, that's easier to do decoupage paper. When it has an inset and you have to kind of measure it and cut to fit or try and sand it off, to me that's a little trickier. These are just so much easier. So when I'm looking for pieces that I'm gonna decoupage, that is one characteristic I look for. Okay, now let's check. So I'm gonna stick my finger under here and just make sure I am secure. Nope, there's a little corner right here. I can already tell. So we just go back over it. Okay, now let's try it again. Perfect. So the pads come with the rad pad. You can do that and sand it off, or use a, this takes a little longer, or use a razor. I'm actually going to use a razor. I'm a little more impatient, but this is also a little bit bigger than what I'm used to. So let me make some room without knocking everything over. So I have a dollar store X-Acto knife. I'm gonna just kind of start on one side, right against the edge, and just drag it. Now, make sure I'm using it the right way. Make sure I'm cutting close enough. Doesn't look like I am. I'm not. So let me try going this way. I know you're not supposed to pull towards you. I have learned that one the hard way. But I just feel like I can get better angle. You could also do the wet method and tear it. I just want a pretty precise. I don't want torn. Oh, I'm using the wrong side of the knife. That would probably help too. What? What the heck? Okay. Now I am going kind of deep and I'm getting it in the paint, but that's fine because I can go back and touch that up. So I did not get close enough. Here, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. Okay. I think I need to, here, let me pop my blade. I need a sharper blade. There. I do go through blades a lot. Woo! Went off on that one. This blade is terrible. Thanks guys for coming in. So we are trimming this one down and then we will top coat it and then we will let it sit for the night. There we go. Okay, there's that. And then this bottom one. once I get going and I lean the razor on the side, it's a lot easier. But getting it going, I'll just go back and sand those off. Oh, that's so pretty. So pretty. So I'm going to, now I have also all this scrap I'm going to save. We're going to put a top coat on it at the same time. Let me trim this one down just a little bit. See if I can do it before I just sand it. There we go. Okay. Now, the top coat, I'm using Tough Top, Breathe Junk by Laura. I'm using a Zebra fan brush. And we're going to put our first coat on. I usually do 2 to 3 coats. Right now, I just want the paper on. Tomorrow when I come in, I will notice if there are any edges that have wrinkled, that did not stick. That's when I iron again, if that is the case. Most of the time, it will just flatten back out, right? In a second, it's gonna look terrible. And I'll bring it up and show you. I just wanna make sure I'm covered. Okay. Excuse me. There's a lot of wrinkles in this, but let it dry. Especially up there at the top. That's a perfect example of what it's gonna do because it's wet. So we're gonna let it dry. If it stays like this, which it's not going to, then you just use your iron again, heat it up, and get it flat. So I'm gonna set this over here. Now we'll do the next one. Okay. So this one, I'm going to line it up. I definitely don't want these stripes uneven. Just make sure we're good all the way across. I need to come up just a tad. There we go. Okay, now our paper and our iron. I like doing the iron-on method more than any of the other ones. To me, it's easier to line up, especially on big pieces. Can you imagine trying to get this wet and lining it all up at the same time? That's why I prefer on big pieces to use the iron-on method. And it really doesn't take much more time. Watching my bottle to make sure I don't knock it off. This is a little harder to clean off my floor than the prep is, and then the paint. So, going back to my corners and my edges, just to make sure it's all down. Somebody's here looking at our trailer and Pumpkin is going crazy. I think you can hear her little nails on the floor. She can't be outside with Daddy, so she's worried. Okay, now we'll check it. This one little corner right here. So when the paper doesn't stick, it usually means I didn't put enough top coat on the bottom. But when I go back over it to put the top coat on, I can just stick my little brush under there and it'll be fine. So this one, let's attempt. We'll attempt this one and see if it really is going to take longer. when I'm sanding, I don't like to do this. I catch myself sometimes, but if the paper's not all the way down and you do that, you're gonna rip it. So usually go in one direction, down, up, sideways. Once I know it's down, then I'll go back and forth. Sometimes it takes a little more of a sanding block also. So let's see how easy this is. Oh, okay, it's leaving. I can hear his motorcycle starting up. Okay. Now just tug on that. That gives it a nice clean edge. Oops. I ripped it. That's okay. I ripped the part that I was trying to save. There we go. So, have you used the iron-on method before? Or do you use decoupage paper? Decoupage paper is a lot thicker than napkins or tissue paper. So if you are doing the wet method, you can usually pick it up and move it at least once if you, don't get it laid down right. Or napkins or tissue paper, you can't do that. The Grace on Design are nice because they coordinate. They send them in packs that coordinate together. This is a perfect example. I didn't have to buy 3 different papers to get the look I wanted. So like I said, this method takes a little longer, but it does give a better cut and finished project than I can even with my X-Acto knife. But we'll get this bottom off and then we'll top coat it and then do the last one. I need to bring it just a little closer to me. I'm gonna get a thicker grit sanding block. That'll probably make it a little faster. I get these at Harbor Freight. I think this is a medium. I'm not even sure what grit it is. This edge. There. So when it's dry, I'll go back and do this very narrow edge of the top. But we're going to put 1 coat of top coat on it and get it to stay sealed. I'll post a picture when this is dry and show you, I did that with the B one, show you that it does flatten out once it's dry. And if it doesn't, then I'll come back on and we'll do the same method. So we'll set this one over. And then our last drawer. So I've got lots of scraps of this one. I'm just trying to kind of place it how I want them at the top. And then making sure I'm straight all the way across. Nothing's worse than getting it on and finding out you're a little skewed. That's sometimes bad. Then we just do a little more blending if that's the case. Okay, I think we are good. So, yeah, today we had an errand day. I had to go get my mammogram and we went to Hobby Lobby in the grocery store. It was fun. Always a good time. Okay, I'm going across my edges. That's really the most important part. We'll make one more pass this way. Check it. Make sure we're down. Perfect. So we'll use this one. Just with my tablecloth. Got that started. Now, come on. Now I know it's down. We're gonna just go. Go, go, go. Oops. Oops. Almost. If I tore a little section, I'll go back and sand it off. I don't want to top coat that because then it's harder to get off. Tongue is hanging out, I can tell. this is a little long. Let me cut this side also. Well, then that way this whole door's done. Well, I still add 2 more coats of top coat after this first one. Almost there. This is the most tedious part. However, if you don't do it right and you rip your paper, your project doesn't turn out exactly like you were hoping. I know it never fails that I rip my paper, and I'm okay with it, but I like to try, on this one especially, I wanted a nice clean edge. Almost. There it goes. Perfect. So we'll just make sure all the dust is off. And top coat. So I will poke the holes for the hardware through the back side after I get the 3 coats on. Right now, I don't want any chance of air bubbles. I just want the paper to be on. So that's our 3 sheets that we did. And let me show you the first one we did. It's already drying. And this was the side that had the wrinkle in it. Hold on, let me grab it. You can already tell that it's flattening out. So it's drying. There's still some wrinkles in it, but it's drying. So it'll flatten out. So that is the iron-on method. And that is using Grace on Designs rustic blue pattern. So we use all 3 of those, and we have some pieces left over. So this one is probably, well, we still have to do some repairs on it, so it's going to be a couple weeks, but at least I'll have the drawers done. They'll be top coated. I can do any of the touch-ups, like you can right here. Don't think the camera's even picking it up. Where I took the sanding block, I chipped my paint, so I'll just touch it all up, and that's okay.